Okay, so the chap I mentioned the other day, Jim Cummins.
Yes, a question, because I would really also like to take a few pictures. And
Oh yeah, sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you.
Me too.
So what I'm going to show you now has come from Jim Cummins, and it's a breakdown and analysis of different types of tasks which come across all the educational models. Okay. So when we're looking at a task, there are two characteristics of a task. There's context. So context means the support that you are giving your students in order to do the task, to access the information. So you might give them, for example, some pictures or some diagrams or something like that, some support in order to be able to access the information or do the task. That's what context means. Vygotsky called it scaffolding. Jim Cummins calls it context. The other characteristic is actually cognition itself, which is thinking. So those are the two characteristics of a task. And those characteristics can be divided in 4 different ways. Okay? So let's look at the combinations. Right. So, a task can be context embedded. That means you provide support for your students. There's context around it. There's a picture, a map, whatever. Okay? And in terms of cognition, it can be cognitively reduced. Cognitively reduced, or cognitively, sometimes it's called cognitively undemanding. So, let's context embedded, it's embedded in a context. Okay, there's a diagram, a chart, a map or something, all right, some pictures. But it's cognitively reduced or cognitively undemanding. For example, typical task which has context but no thinking would be matching a word to a picture. Okay, so there's a lot of context, you've got all your pictures, all right, but there's no thinking, you're just matching, right? So that type of matching exercise, which is a very common task, is context embedded. Yes, you've got lots of support, but not much thinking, cognitively reduced, cognitively undemanding. Everybody okay so far? Okay? We'll leave that one for a minute. If we go to C, we can have context reduced. Context reduced. That means there's no context. There's no context. No real support. And again, it's cognitively undemanding or cognitively reduced. So there's no real context, there's no support, but the kids don't have to think very much. So a typical activity would be listing. Listing something. So I say, list the 3 causes of the First World War. Okay? I'm not giving them a picture, I'm not giving them a diagram, I'm just saying, write a list. Okay? There's no context, there's no picture, but they're not having to. So this is matching, this is listing. Okay? Everybody okay so far? All right. Let's look at D. Here we have context reduced, again, no support, and it's cognitively demanding. Kids have to think very much. This would be a typical task of writing an essay. All right, you've given them no support and you just say, you know, whatever. The classic one I normally say is, explain why Athens is the capital of the world, not just the capital of Greece. It's very cognitively demanding.
Not today.
Not today, you can't do that today. So that would be cognitively demanding and no support at all by the teacher. Are we all okay? So matching, context embedded, context reduced listing, context reduced essay. This one, B, is what I call the Holy Grail. You know the Holy Grail?
Of course.
No.
Yes. The Holy Grail.
Holy Grail means
Extra lessons after work.
I can't translate it in English. No, it's the Holy.
okay. So the Holy Grail is context embedded. We've got lots of support for the kids to do the task, but also they have to think, okay, in some ways. They have to think according to the list of Bloom's taxonomy, the list I gave you the other day. Is that all right? Everybody understand what I'm talking about? Any questions about that? We all okay? Just give you this for reference. So this is important to know because people will talk about this division.